Hey, it's Sarah with House Copper, and today I'm going to do the other how to do a crimp seam, but we're going to do the side seams. So the last one I did was on the base of a piece of cookware or a circle or whatever you're doing, but the base crimp seam is different than the side crimp seam. I use very different tools, and the process is completely different, even though you're doing the exact same thing to the metal, which is to take one 90-degree angle and another and smash them together. So we're going to be using some of the bigger tools that I have, but I also am going to show you how to use the hand tools to have the same results in terms of that side seam, because not everybody has a grooving machine, and but the hand the grooving stamps that I'll be using, those are a lot more easier to find. You can get them brand new. They are still made. So that's an alternative as well if you don't have a grooving machine, but I'm gonna do both. Okay, so without further ado, here we go with a side crimp seam. Okay, so here's the piece that we're gonna just use for this demonstration. I have cut out the allowances along the tops and bottoms of each side, which are going to be dependent on your seam, how thick you want it to be and everything like that. But there are some standard sizes, and I will put in the description below the kind of, and actually maybe I can do a diagram and put it on here, but I'll figure out a way to show you kind of the average seam allowances that I learned from Bob, and they can be pretty standardized among almost any size that you're doing, unless you're doing something really big or really small. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna use a bar folder. If you don't have a bar folder, you're gonna use like the side of an anvil, or even like a hand tool, which I don't have out, but I'll show you later what you can use for hand tool if you don't have one of these. So you're gonna adjust this. Make sure that you are set to go. And you're gonna do one side one way, which is to bend it in like so, which is like creating a over 90-degree angle. Then you have to readjust this again. Make sure I'm going the right way. And as you can see, I have now bent this over this way and this to the inside. Now, normally you would do this in the rollers first, but just because I wanted to show you the clean lines of this, we're gonna do it by hand. But anyway, now I'm gonna have to bend this into circle by hand. Very briefly, it's very soft copper. This is a dead soft piece. And then we're gonna put it through the grooving machine. So first let me bend this. All right, here's my haphazard circle, but we're gonna just focus here. Now, as you can see, all of that prep work is lined up. Like this would be big, so it could take a wire. This can take a crimp seam on the bottom or a lap seam. And what you're gonna do is they slide and fold into each other. I'm trying to make sure it focuses. I don't know if it will. Hello? So these, maybe it's easier on this side. They kind of have folded into each other. And then we're gonna put it on the grooving machine. Okay, so I've lined up, oh my goodness, getting this to focus is like a, I've lined up the edge of the crimp seam here with the wheel there, so that the edge of the wheel catches this, so it will start to smash down the seam right here. So the groove in the wheel here of the grooving machine will kind of offer the groove to that crimp seam material that is, you know, now 1, 2, 3, 4 layers thick. So that's how you're gonna line it up. And I know I've done videos on using this particular machine in the past, so you can refer to that if you want some of the know-hows again. But you kind of have to make sure that the seam doesn't pop apart. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. And I'm going to come back. And then I'm going to do the other side. So here it is. We've smashed that down. This is really soft copper. And it is flat on the inside. Now I'm going to show you another way you can do it here. Another way you can do this is to use these different grooving. Now this is brand new, so you can get these now. They come in various widths. Small, medium, large, intermediate, and you want to make sure that it fits over your seam. And my grooving machine really smashed it funny, but we're just going to go with this. But you can put it over that and hit it with a hammer. And you will get the same result as the grooving machine. Bob and I also will use this here to help flatten that area to take your wire. You just need to make sure that it's supported. Oh my goodness. On the bottom, you know, here along your seam before you do any hammering with one of those, well, that's another word for them, seam setters, seam setting tools. So Google seam setters. But there you go. And then you would solder that seam, but as you can see, it's not going to pop apart over a fire. So there you go. Okay, so there's our video for how to do a crimp seam along the side of something on the body. And as you could see if you watched the other video, we didn't use any of the same material or machines. We used a bar folder, we used a grooving machine, and then you can always, if you don't have a bar folder, you use just like a handheld brake, and you can use the seam setters for your, if you don't have a grooving machine. But that's kind of it. As I said, I will put down the measurements for prepping the two sides, you know, one for a wire, one for a crimp or lap seam on the base, because you will always want to have that material removed before you start this process in order to make your life way simpler, because you're probably going to finish the top so it's not sharp and the bottom so it has a base. But if you have any thoughts or questions or other ideas or ways that you've worked with these tools or made crimp seams along the sides, please don't hesitate to put it in the comments below. I sometimes take many weeks to respond, but I do respond. And thank you again. If you want to follow or share this channel, I appreciate it. And find me on Instagram, House Copper, Facebook, House Copper. Pick up copper, iron, and clay, or borrow it from the library if you just want the copper section in, not the iron or whatever. But thank you again for joining me. Hopefully it's helpful, and I will see you next time.